Kalispera σας, Minister Kolia, Ambassador Papandreou, members of the Hellenic Parliament, of the European Parliament, Nikos, thank you so very much for having me here this evening. I'm delighted to be back in Thessaloniki, and I have to say, I don't think I've ever seen the city look as beautiful as it looked this afternoon as we were driving around. So I'm really delighted to be here. I'm especially pleased to have this opportunity to address the American Alumni Association, because every time I travel in northern Greece and come here to Thessaloniki, I'm reminded of the transformative role played by American-affiliated institutions in northern Greece. These institutions are the foundation of our bilateral relationship here. The Alumni Association, Anatolia College, the American Farm School, Pinewood, the American Hellenic Chamber of Commerce, AHEPA, all of you. In your work on a daily basis, you strengthen the bonds between the U.S. and Greece by strengthening our vital people-to-people connections. As I know everybody in this room is aware, the U.S. will be the honored country at this year's Thessaloniki International Fair, the TIFF, as we call it, the signature activity of the U.S. mission in Greece for 2018. There's a clear strategic intention behind American participation in the TIFF this year. First, of course, is to celebrate the very best in American technology, American innovation, American entrepreneurship, characteristics which mark the competitive and most dynamic parts of the U.S. economy. But our goal is also to get the message out to the international community, especially in the United States, that Greece is back, that Greece is open for business, that the economy has started to turn around, that there are real opportunities here in terms of American and international investment. The United States, I want to be clear, wants to help ensure that 2018 really is the year that Greece turns the page on the economic crisis. There's a very strong political commitment from the U.S. government to our role at TIFF. President Trump, with Prime Minister Tsipras last October in the Rose Garden, emphasized the importance we place on the United States' status as honored country, and he committed to sending a cabinet-level U.S. delegation. Secretary of Commerce Wilbur Ross now has indicated that he will lead the U.S. delegation to TIFF, and the Embassy and U.S. Commercial Service are collaborating with the American Hellenic Chamber of Commerce to feature leading American companies in technology, manufacturing, pharmaceuticals, agriculture, food, and education as part of the American Pavilion. This year's week-long TIFF extravaganza should be one of the biggest ever, with an expected 300,000 visitors from across the wider region. And we are organizing a fantastic program for those visitors to highlight all the facets of the U.S.-Greece relationship. Over the course of a week, there will be a series of conferences and seminars on energy, education, entrepreneurship, and communication. For the cultural program, we plan to blanket Thessaloniki on bus stops, billboards, and public buildings with iconic works of American art, bringing a project created by the Art Institute of Chicago and the Whitney Museum of Art. I'm anticipating a great momentum for us here in northern Greece, as the U.S. participation in TIFF comes at a moment when U.S.-Greek relations are stronger than they have been in many years. And our intention is not to have TIFF be a one-time event, but rather to serve as a springboard for renewed American engagement in this part of Greece, building on the foundation that you all represent. There is another important dimension of the TIFF, however, as it will also mark the end of the third bailout and the substantial progress Greece has made towards reforming its economy and returning the country to sustainable growth. And so we hope this summer, as Greece returns to global markets, we will see renewed activity from American investors here. The resilience of the Greeks, coupled with government efforts over the past 5 years or so, has made this growth possible. This resiliency has always stood out here during my time in Greece. I've seen the courage and determination among the established business communities, but also startups and entrepreneurs. So now I want to turn for just a minute to where we are on attracting U.S. investments to Greece. I have more American companies coming to see me at the embassy right now than at any time since I arrived in Athens in the summer of 2016. American investors are taking a new look at Greece, whether it's interest in the shipyard, and I understand that process is almost complete and that Onyx has already restarted operations, or American interest in the Alexandroupoli port privatization and in tourism-related services. Big American investors and companies are looking for ways to partner with Greek companies because they see true value here. Another sector that I think is not sufficiently heralded in Greece is entrepreneurship and startups. It really is one of the great untold success stories of this country, and for my part, I'm committed to doing all that I can to help sustain and draw attention to it. I've seen it in Patras, I've seen it in Heraklion, I've seen it in Athens, and of course I've seen it here in Thessaloniki. Highly competitive startups with innovative ideas, leveraging Greece's strong human capital to deliver products that are globally relevant. And I was glad to see more of this dynamic this morning in my visit to Thess InTech. This is exactly why Tesla has chosen to open a new research and engineering lab in Athens. Greece's future economic success depends, in large part, on its resilient and talented human capital and on the quality of its innovation economy, which is another important value that our two countries share in common. A few weeks ago, I attended an event hosted by SFE, the Greek Pharmaceutical Association. There was a presentation there from a highly accomplished Greek American named Faye Christodoulou. She's a graduate of the Polytechnico who moved to Silicon Valley a few years ago, and now has a startup with 30 employees and multiple patents. She embodies Greece's great human capital, which is truly world-class. And she had some great ideas about an important piece of the overall picture. That is, how to attract young, intelligent, and industrious Greeks back to this country, or how to get them to stay here in the first place. In terms of other investment opportunities for American companies, privatizations are at the top of the list. I often point out that American companies bring transparency and high standards of corporate governance, and they are looking for the same from their Greek partners. There have been some success stories in this area. One that I think many people here experience on a regular basis is Fraport, and what's started to happen with the airports and the improvements taking place in terms of efficiency and how Greece's civil aviation industry operates. I hope that during my tenure here, we'll see similar progress on some other key privatizations, like Hellenikon, that have been outstanding for far too long. We also recently saw the privatization of the Thessaloniki port, which I heard a lot about, starting with my first visit here in October of 2016. I've spoken forcefully on this topic, specifically on the transparency of the transaction and the source of the funding, which includes a letter of guarantee from a Russian bank currently under U.S. sanctions. But the upcoming privatization of other ports in the region, Alexandroupoli and Kavala in particular, present new opportunities for industrial and agricultural development. I've seen the Alexandroupoli port firsthand and know what an important strategic transit point it can serve as. So there's a lot of interest from American companies and a lot of opportunities for them here in northern Greece. Now it's up to the government to sustain the message that Prime Minister Tsipras conveyed when he was in the U.S. in October about investment, about openness, about predictability, creating an environment that allows for economic growth. Foreign investors, especially from the U.S., are looking for certainty and are moving ahead with progress that we've already seen on several key privatization projects. And they also want stability in the tax and regulatory regime, all of which could help attract new foreign capital at a moment when Greece clearly is poised to move forward. In this context, Greece is also at a tipping point in terms of establishing itself as a major European energy hub. We all have come to agree on the importance of European energy diversification. And as Prime Minister Tsipras points out, almost every major new energy route coming into Europe today will pass through Greece. The Trans-Adriatic pipeline, for instance, is coming along nicely. Last year, when I was in Thessaloniki for our Independence Day celebration, I had the opportunity to visit one of the TAP construction sites. What an impressive project. The scale of the construction is immense and hard to fully comprehend unless you see it in person. This pipeline will bring new sources of energy into Greece and to Europe, helping to create additional security for the wider region. The Greece-Bulgaria interconnector is another infrastructure project that will bring new, non-Russian sources of natural gas to Bulgaria, a country that so far has depended 100% on a single source for its gas needs. Here, I'd also like to mention a regional project that the U.S. has opposed, which would undermine Europe's energy security and delay Greece's emergence as an energy hub, and by extension, American energy security. That is the Nord Stream 2 project. This project would divide Europe and strengthen Russia's ability to use its energy resources for political coercion and to increase political influence. It would also give Russia more power to circumvent Ukraine, diminishing that country's revenues from transit and eliminating an otherwise powerful disincentive against further Russian aggression. There is no particular resource need for this project. There are many other important natural gas projects in the area that will accelerate the vision that the Greek and American governments share of seeing Greece emerge as an energy hub. The Floating Storage and Regasification Unit, or FSRU, near Alexandroupoli, for instance, will create another entry point for LNG into the European gas grid. And we hope that Greek government commitments will be realized soon and that Greece will start importing U.S. LNG, improving competition in the market and rewarding the average consumer, who will ultimately enjoy the lower prices that real competition will generate. Likewise, the development of the Kavala natural gas storage site will create a new reality where Greece has the ability to emerge as a gas trading hub. You also see it in upstream projects moving forward in Greece, in the hydrocarbon sector, but also renewables, where we have an increased interest recently from big American companies like General Electric. Something that all these companies know well is that one of Greece's greatest resources is its geography, which presents real opportunities for Greece in attracting investment and creating jobs in infrastructure, logistics, and energy. In this regard, we think of Thessaloniki as a major entry point, not just to Greece, but to the Balkan region to the north. The development of regional road, rail, and energy linkage will benefit Greece and bring the entire region closer. For centuries, Greece has been a gateway between the Middle East, the Balkans, and Europe. Greece's economic success will ultimately depend not just on the actions you take here, but on the prosperity of the broader neighborhood. You all have heard me refer to Greece as a pillar of stability in a complicated region. And since he's in the audience, I should be sure to give some credit here to Professor Litsas, who developed some of my thinking in this regard. We see Greece as both a hub for economic development and a regional leader on policy matters. The United States and Greece, for instance, share a commitment to integrating the Western Balkans into European institutions, a goal that meets our mutual security interests. Having all of the countries of the Western Balkans in NATO will make the alliance stronger and the region more stable. I would also emphasize how our defense cooperation continues to expand. Last year, for instance, Greece contributed tremendously to the success of NATO's Atlantic Resolve operation by enabling a substantial portion of the 10th Combat Aviation Brigade to enter the European theater through the port of Thessaloniki and to depart through the port of Alexandroupolis. As a result, the alliance's logistic capabilities, interoperability, and ability to mobilize resources efficiently was demonstrated. We also saw a better and more innovative way to use existing resources here in Greece to achieve our joint and multilateral objectives, something we plan to continue doing in the future. This cooperation between our militaries, as well as our defense industries, is strategically important and good for both of our economies. Earlier today, I had the pleasure of visiting the NRDC headquarters and the 3rd Army Corps. Thessaloniki will be NATO Joint Command for 2 years starting this summer, highlighting again the strategic importance of this city, and I was glad to congratulate General Vikos on this new role. In closing, I would like to observe that we have a lot to celebrate in our bilateral relationship during this very pivotal year with the U.S. as honored country at TIF. I want to emphasize that we are working very hard to make it an event that doesn't end on the last day of the fair, but rather creates networks and investment opportunities that will continue to grow stronger. And in that vein, I want to highlight an upcoming event even before the TIF, the Select USA Conference in June. Last year, AmCham Greece helped assemble an impressive delegation of Greek companies to the Select USA Investment Summit. And there was an especially strong presence from northern Greek firms like Paramus Metals, Bear Square Software, Cumsys Equipment, National Can Hellas, and Aragon Foods. Select USA is a proven platform for Greek businesses to expand into the U.S. market and to establish networks that could also result in investment from the U.S. into Greece. And so from June 20th to 22nd, I'll be headed to Select USA, and I hope to be accompanying another strong Greek delegation, including more top companies from northern Greece. So, to finish up, I'd like to thank everyone here, especially all of our partners from AmCham, TIF Hell Expo, the Deputy Mayor and the Mayor's Office, and all of you, business and local leaders, entrepreneurs and friends, students, American University graduates. I am confident that your support will make 2018 a historic year in our bilateral relationship, and especially our relationship with Northern Greece. So you'll hear a lot from me over the next couple of months, and I look forward to working together. Ευχαριστώ πολύ.